whether the team is performing clean or unsightly. We'll cover it all here on Washington Football Nightly. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, it's week number 9. Washington is fresh off of its bye. I talked about a lot of guys potentially coming back from injuries and this team getting a lot healthier. I had a chance to take a look at the injury report. We won't look at it today. We'll start looking at it tomorrow because things will become a little bit more definitive tomorrow. As we know, Wednesday is usually that day where if you need a day off, Wednesday's that day. You don't practice. Maybe you're limited. We'll know more about tomorrow and practice and who goes, who doesn't. But only 5 guys on the injury report right now, which is a far cry from the laundry list that we had, the last 3 or 4 games heading into the bye. So a lot healthier football team. Rivera gushed today at his presser about how many receivers he had healthy at practice. He said it became tough to even run practice with the amount of injuries we had at the receiver position. Isaiah Wright was back at practice today. We talked about Steven Sims Jr. I'm really excited. Hopefully he's back this week. No guarantees, okay? He's still on IR. They have not activated him. They've got 21 days to do it. They could do it Saturday before the game for all we know. We'll see what happens with his situation. But I'm really encouraged because he was out there. Even Gandy Golden was off on the side field. Now, again, he's on IR as well. And I don't anticipate him playing this week. I don't. But just the fact that these guys are getting out there, and Robert Foster was out there, the new acquisition. Look, don't look for a lot from him. And a lot of you guys are getting excited. We've been in the community. MOBB stand up. We in the building. A lot of you have gotten excited about that acquisition. Don't look for him to even be active for a number of weeks. I don't anticipate him contributing to this football team at all. I really don't. So, when we get our guys healthy again, I don't think he's active. Maybe he's active this week. Maybe he's not. You still got Terry McLaurin. You still got Dontrell Inman. You still got Sims. You still got, if healthy, both Sims. And you've got Isaiah Wright. So that's 5 guys right there. If they want to go with 6, maybe Foster's your 6th receiver. But as of right now, and then obviously when Gandy Golden returns, he becomes your 6th receiver. If you're going with 6, if you're going with 5, then you'll trim off some fat elsewhere. But they've been rolling with 6 receivers for the most part this season when guys are healthy enough to go. So don't look for Foster to be a major contributor to this roster this upcoming week or even in the near future. I will add this in as a side note. The Giants signed wide receiver Dante Pettis today. That was a guy that a lot of you were interested in. I myself was interested in Dante Pettis potentially. A guy that was a 2nd round pick by the 49ers out of Washington. I was never that high on him coming out of Washington. I thought he was overdrafted by the 49ers, but there's no denying that this guy has talent. He was a tremendous punt returner out of UW. They got him as a receiver, and they thought a guy that could stretch the football field vertically. It never really came to fruition in San Francisco for various reasons, health, just not being what they thought he was going to be. But sometimes guys need a fresh start. He's a talented football player. I would have loved to have seen him get an opportunity here. But as I stressed to you, I believe it was a week ago, if not maybe a little bit further back, not too far ago, though, I said, how many receivers could you possibly need when you look at this football team and all of the receivers that we've acquired via, the practice squad or snatching somebody else off of another team's practice squad like we did with Robert Foster, between, the Tony Browns of the world and the Jeff Badetts of the world. Like, how many receivers do you really need? Exactly. Now I'm not saying any of these guys are ballers or game changers, and you're never going to stop on your never ending quest to find ballers. You want to add as many big time playmakers onto your roster as possible. But at the same time, how many receivers could you possibly need? Now he's not playing against us this weekend. So, for those of you, some of you might have been worried. Again, he doesn't know their offense. So even if he was playing, he wouldn't be that big of a contributor. Guys, this isn't Madden. You don't just add a guy to your team and he just jumps in there and starts making plays. However, he's got to go through COVID protocols, just like we saw with Robert Foster, and he wasn't ready versus Dallas. And so he's not going to be an impact against us. Won't even be on the field. Speaking of COVID and potentially not being on the field, Matthew Stafford today was put on the COVID list in Detroit. We got the Lions next week. Like, shit is shaping up for us. Now, I don't know if he's going to miss the game next week. More likely than not, he'll be able to play depending on when he first started showing signs of COVID. I'd lean towards him playing next week. But I'm just sitting here. It's Thursday, and I'm saying to myself, hey, man, another thing could be lining up for us. Boy, would I love to see the Lions without Matthew Stafford. If he misses one game, well, it would be two because it doesn't look like he's playing this week. If he misses 2 games this year, it'd be great if one of them were us. I'm just saying, shit's shaping up for us. When I look at the 49ers game, I look at this potential opportunity, even if he does play against us, it will be with little to no practice leading up to the game. Now, what does that mean for a double-digit year veteran? How long has Stafford been in the league? What draft was he in? Like the 07 draft? 08, 09, somewhere in it. Either way, you're talking about a guy that's been in the league, got to be, if not double-digit years, close to double-digit years. So he doesn't need a ton of practice, does Matthew Stafford. However, I like how things are shaping up for the old burgundy and gold. I'm just saying. But I told you I don't like looking forward. Yeah, I don't want to talk about teams in the future. I just want to talk about the Giants right now. And so when you look at the way this thing is shaping up, the Giants are the biggest game of the season to this point. And every game in the division, when we get to that point, is going to be the biggest game of the season. We got to start stacking wins on top of each other. We can't win a game, lose 3, then win another game. We're starting to run out of games now. We've only got 9 left. So if we really want to win this division, we got to start putting some wins together in a row. And this is an opportunity to do that. Daniel Jones owns us right now. He's 3-0. He's got 4 career wins in his NFL career. 3 have come against Washington. Some of his best games have come against Washington. Well, at least one. I can't say some of it. The first time he beat us in the Meadowlands, he was awful. He was picked off twice by Quentin Dunbar. But Dwayne was more awful, and we lost the football game going away. The second game is the one where he scorched our ass. 5 touchdown passes, including the game winner in overtime when they beat us 41-35. He was outstanding in that game. Remember, that was the tit-for-tat game with him and Dwayne. Dwayne ends up getting hurt, and Daniel Jones just keeps on going and keeps on throwing flames the rest of the game, including into overtime. But last game, he wasn't all that impressive. His legs were more hurtful and impactful than his arm was. But when he had an opportunity to make a throw to Darius Slayton, he did. And he was good enough to get his team a victory. Last time around, this has to stop. The buck stops here in week number 9 at the crib in front of what we now know is going to be 3,000 fans. How many are donning the burgundy and gold? I can't say. But if they're only letting in 3,000, I mean, how many of them could possibly be Giants fans, right? Seriously. If this game is anywhere near split, I'm going to be one pissed off fan. This better be 3,000 screaming burgundy and gold fans. I don't care if there's only 500 Giants fans, I'm going to be pissed off. 3,000 is a small, minute number. There should be no infiltration. Little to no. Maybe, 3 or 4 Giants fans find their way in. 3,000 it's not like it's 8,000 like we originally were told they were going to get to, where we said, okay, you're looking at a situation where we could get up to as much as 10% of the capacity of the stadium. Stadium hosts 80,000, 10%, 8,000. Okay, cool. I thought that's what we were going to get to, because when you look around the league, teams have 7, teams got 11, teams got 13, 12, 5. We're going to get a measly 3,000 people. It's better than nothing, okay? I can sit here and bitch and complain and moan about it, but at the end of the day, it's better than no fans, which is what we've been dealing with at home. So hopefully this is an advantage for us, and we don't have the Giants fans taking over the stadium with with just 3,000 people in attendance. I don't think that's going to happen. For as bad as we've been, we've always had our core fan base come, and it's usually about a good 10 to 15, maybe 20,000. So of that group, you would think those guys and gals and kids would show up in this type of environment. So hopefully it'll be a pro Washington crowd. It's stupid to even say you hope when you're at home and there's only 3,000 people being allowed in, but you have to say that when it comes to this football team. But I'm really excited for some of these guys that are coming back off of injury. Now, keep in mind, you still have Sadiq Charles on IR. You still have Antonio Gandy Golden on IR. You still have Steven Sims on IR. You still have Greg Stroman on IR. There's still a ton of people. When I say there are only 5 guys on the injury report, I'm just talking about guys that are active. Okay, when you're on IR, you're not an active member of the roster. So these guys that are practicing, but they're still on IR, they're not on the injury report, but they would be if they were active. So, Steven Sims would be on the injury report if he becomes active again, when they decide to activate him back to the active roster. But, to only have now one of those guys on the injury report, I didn't know he had a concussion. Montez Sweat showed up on the injury report. Did I miss something? Did you guys know about this concussion that Montez Sweat apparently is recovering from? I wasn't privy to this information. Were you? Because I was caught off guard when I heard that, they run down the list of injuries and the practice situation for players right before Ron Rivera speaks at his presser. They have their PR guy run down the list of who practiced, who didn't, and what their status at practice was, limited basis, full participant, did not practice. And I hear, everybody was a limited participant. Nobody missed practice today, which is a good thing. But, they went down the list, and I'm just listening, and they're like, Isaiah Wright, knee or shoulder, limited participant. They talked about somebody had a knee. I forget what player it was with a knee, limited participant. They like, James Smith-Williams concussion, Montez Sweat concussion. Wait, who? Montez what? Concussion? When the hell did that happen? So that caught me off guard a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you, but hopefully he's okay. He did practice on a limited basis, which is a good thing, but I hear the C word, and it's one of our best players, and I'm like, when the hell did that happen? I might have missed it. They may have told me he had a concussion, and it just somehow went over my head. Maybe I was so excited about the Dallas win. We were going into a bye week, but the only injury that I was really concerned with coming out of the Dallas game was the Momo injury. So the fact that we're talking about Sweat with a concussion, I didn't know about that one. But hopefully that week off, coupled with the rest of this week, he'll be able to be ready for us come Sunday, because we need him. We got to get after Daniel Jones. That's going to be one of the keys to the game when we break this thing down on Friday. But nonetheless, let's get into in other news. And we had quite a bit of people step up to the podium today. You had Ron Rivera step up to the podium. You had offensive coordinator Scott Turner step up to the podium today. We had quarterback Kyle Allen step up to the podium. We heard from Terry McLaurin, Cornelius Lucas, John Bostic. I mean, they were talking to some of everybody. Terry, for those of you who aren't in the loop, Terry McLaurin was made a captain today unanimously by his teammates, by his peers. I had someone a week ago say, after the speech that he had in the locker room after the Dallas win, why isn't Terry a captain? And I said, that's a good goddamn question. I don't know. That's a hell of a question, because I would have thought he would have been a captain before Dwayne. But you want Dwayne. Remember how excited we were when Dwayne was named the captain. You want your starting quarterback to be named the captain. But Terry has always been a mature guy, way beyond his years. And he's been a high producer for this football team. So, needless to say, I was shocked that he wasn't already a team captain. But unanimously, he was made a team captain. He deserves it. his play on the field, his impact in the locker room. And guys look to Terry for more vocal leadership. And that's what we've been hearing from Kyle Allen and Morgan Moses. And even Terry himself today said, guys have been telling me they want me to be more vocal. You know, guys look to me, even though I'm a young guy in this locker room. I've only been in the league now. This is my second year. But guys are looking to me for vocal leadership. You know, my job, you know, when I come here to work. You know, I come to the building and they know I got a no-nonsense attitude. I'm coming in and I'm trying to get the job done. I practice hard. I prepare hard. And so I just try to lead by leadership. But he said, I got to step up and be more of a vocal leader because guys are looking for that from me. And I accept that challenge. So I wouldn't have it any other way. Terry's one of my favorite players on the team right now, not just because he's a high producer, but because of his high character. You know, this is a guy that I see a lot of myself in him. Just a young guy that just gets it at an early age. And I really love Terry McLaurin. Love the fact that he's a team captain. And I think there are going to be a lot of things that this guy's going to be able to do on and off the field for this football team moving forward. So that was some good news that we got today as well. But when you look at what was said at the podium, not a lot was said by anybody of note today, honestly. You know, Rivera, a lot of his conversation was about Cameron Curl in the safety position, and he talked about Kyle Allen. There was a little bit of a discussion about Kyle Allen. I did want to have that discussion tonight as well. Maybe we'll save it for tomorrow. But, you know, Kyle Allen potentially being the answer at the quarterback position. He's got 9 games. I've talked about this on my podcast. I've talked about it on this show as well. He's got 9 games to really prove that he's the guy. And we'll see if he's able to do that or not. And if he's able to do that, we'll see what happens. But he talked about Cameron Curl, how, you know, they're really excited about Cameron Curl. He compared Cameron Curl to Kendall Fuller in terms of a young Kendall Fuller. Remember, Kendall came into the league and he was versatile. We played him in the nickel. He came into the organization as a boundary corner out of Virginia Tech. They moved him around a ton. And so they feel like Cameron Curl, because remember, Curl, and I told you guys this in his breakdown, was a former corner at Arkansas, moved to safety. And so there is that versatility, even though I don't know if you can play him in the slot. They've tried. They talk about him as that big nickel in their Buffalo package. And he doesn't seem to have the quickest of feet in terms of being able to stick with guys in the slot. We saw what Cooper Kupp was able to do to him in the slot versus the Rams. It was a wet day. I don't want to make excuses for him. I like my Cameron Curl in the box. That's when he does his best work. And they seem to really like this guy. They want to give him a chance. He also being Ron Rivera, talked about wanting to give Jeremy Reeves a shot, which is why they didn't go after Eric Reed. Well, they tried to sign him to the practice squad, but they weren't ready to give him the elevation to the active roster because they want to see what Jeremy Reeves can do. So he talked about that. Again, not a lot. He did say, look, you know, we just want to see Kyle Allen grow as a quarterback. He's not making any commitments to anybody. He shouldn't at this point. I've always said Rivera needs to say less. Like the young boys say, you know, say less. You know, you don't need to keep talking. So I like that he kept some of his answers a little bit more brief today because you get yourself in trouble. The more you say, the more you're going to get yourself into trouble. So I thought that was interesting. You look at Scott Turner. I thought Scott Turner was he was interesting in, you know, him talking about the self-scouting that you do during the off week, the bye week. And I talked about that. He talked about self-scouting and, you know, how it feels to get all these receivers back and what that will do for the offense potentially. You know, but there wasn't a lot here. You know, he didn't really say anything. This wasn't one of his revelations. I love listening to Scott Turner the week after a game. You know, I want to hear what he has to say about the offense and how he thought it performed and some of the things that they did or didn't do well. There's really none of that. He did that on the Monday after the Cowboys game, so you weren't going to get that here. So it wasn't really a lot to get from him. There wasn't a lot to be gained from his conversation with the media today. Kyle Allen, I always love to hear Kyle Allen speak. I told you there's something there with Kyle Allen. He's a competitor. He's a guy that I think he understands that there's no guarantees in this thing for him. He's got to earn everything. Like, they asked him about potentially being the guy here in Washington. And he said, look, I got a narrow focus. I just like to focus on the next opponent, the things that I can control. I can't control what they decide to do with me after this season. All I can do is go out and try to find a way to help my teammates beat the Giants. That's all I can do. That's just how I'm wired. Love it. I love it. Like, there's something to him, and he seems to be. I remember in the offseason, there was a picture of Dwayne and Kyle in the bubble. It was one of those rainy days. They had to take practice inside, and the Dwayne was in the camera doing some of this type of stuff, and Kyle was right over there next to him, like, they were doing something. I don't know what but I said, Kyle seems like one cool ass white dude. And when I listen to him talk, I get the sense that his teammates love him, and he's one of those white dudes that fits in the locker room. Like, he's like an extension of a brother. So, there's a little bit of swag to Kyle Allen. Like, he doesn't call Isaiah, he calls him Zay. Like, there's that connection where, we on a nickname basis. I think there's something there. These guys will follow Kyle Allen. If he plays well and they start winning, there will be this groundswell, this momentum for Kyle Allen to get an opportunity to be the guy. I really firmly believe that, but he's got to play well, and him playing well has to result in victories. He can't play well and we still lose. So he's got to find a way to limit the turnovers, and he's got to find a way to get wins up on the scoreboard. And so we'll see what happens with Kyle Allen, but I always like hearing Kyle talk. We heard from Terry. Like I said, Terry was talking about getting, the honor that has been bestowed upon him of being now crowned a leader of this football team. Terry also talked about, trying to get better. It wasn't a lot there, nothing, because everything is heading towards this Giants game. So nothing really here to chew on as far as what everyone was talking about. I know this much. Rivera talked about the schedule again. I wish he wouldn't do that. Leave that to us as fans. I don't really want him looking too far into the future. You just worry about the Giants. When someone asks you about the schedule, don't talk to me about, Detroit this and Cincinnati, they're young teams. I don't want to hear that from you. I just want you to say, really don't want to talk about anything other than the Giants. That's the next team up on the docket. That team is in our division. This is a big game. They beat us the last time. We need to get this one. That's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear about, hey, man, this is a big stretch of games. You don't need to be telling everybody that. Now, you can tell your team that. They need to understand that these are big games. These are winnable games. You don't need to tell the media that, though. They don't need to know what you're telling your players. You just need to keep the focus on the Giants. That's it. You shouldn't be telling them, hey, Matthew Stafford's got COVID, man. We might get a break. We need to be talking about the Giants. We need to be talking about how we're going to stop Sterling Shepard, how we're going to stop Golden Tate, how we're going to stop Evan Ingram, how we're going to stop Darius Slayton from catching another touchdown pass on us, how we're going to block Williams, how we're going to block Dalvin Tomlinson, how we're going to block all of those guys. That's what we need to be talking about. Not talking about, oh, yeah, got a game against the Lions, got a game against the Bengals. Those are two young teams that are hungry. I don't want to hear that from you. So I just want to focus on the Giants. We can't seem to beat Daniel Jones. The Giants, they went toe-to-toe with one of the best teams in the NFC on Monday. Let's try to find a way to beat them. How about that? So that's where I am right now, and that's pretty much what we got today from the pressers. But let's see what we got. I got a comment here, a super chat. This one is from John Livingston. Thank you for the super chat, John Livingston, who writes, hey, Lou, it's 61 Livy. Congrats to McLaurin. Golden Tate seems to be in trouble in New York. I think y'all will handle business with the G-men. I know Golden Tate did not practice today, but it was a non-football injury-related situation. I expect him to play because usually when it's non-injury related, you know, something going on at the crib, whatever, some personal stuff, but you usually are back for the game. You know, I expect Golden Tate to practice tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. I can tell you this much. The Giants are a team that seems to give us fits for whatever reason. Whether they're good or they're bad, we can't seem to beat the Giants consistently. They swept us last year. I cannot deal with another Giants sweep. They've beat us 4 straight times, dating back to 2018. This must stop. They're not a good enough team to be reigning terror over us. They're not. It's ridiculous. If we want to win this division, we got to beat the Giants. We got to win games in the division. We have to beat teams that are beatable. Because there are going to be some games on this schedule where you look at it, you say, there is no way in hell we're beating that team. I.e. Seattle, more likely than not. I.e. Pittsburgh, more likely than not. These are games you look at and say, man, that's a daunting task. That's why they play the games. Those are down the road. I don't want to talk about them because we don't know what those teams will be when we get there. But when you look at a team like the Giants, this is a winnable football game. It's in the division. You have to find a way to win these types of games. And definitely congrats to McLaurin, man. He deserves it. I'm really happy for him, and I think he's going to relish in this role as a team captain. I really do. I firmly believe that. But I haven't heard from you. You haven't DM'd me. If you need any help, holla at me. But I really appreciate you, 61 Livy, as always. So that's going to do it. There are no more super chats, no comments. So I'm going to glide to the side and go ahead and get out of here. You guys, we will start our breakdowns of the Giants tomorrow. We will take our first hard, long look at them. We'll look at the injury report for the week. We'll start talking about Giants football and what we'll have to do to get a win off of these Giants. They have been a thorn in our side. They really have. You know, the Eagles had a nasty winning streak against us. We snapped that the last time we saw them. The Cowboys had a little winning streak of their own going against us. We hadn't beaten them since the 2018 Doink Alex Smith game. We broke that streak this couple weeks ago in week 7, excuse me. Now it's time for us to break this little streak that the Giants have over us. Remember, we didn't win a game in the NFC East last year. It's time for us to snap their little 4-game winning streak against us. So I'm looking forward to winning this game. We need this game. We need to beat the Giants. We need to bury the Giants. You know, there's still talk about this Giants team being one of the better teams in this division fresh off of that loss. I'm not here for moral victories anymore. That time is past. If they want to keep counting moral victories and how close they are, Giants fans talking trash to me this week because they know that they've owned us over the last year and a half, this shit has to stop. So we start looking at the Giants. We go behind enemy lines tomorrow night on the program as we start looking at this Giants team and what it'll take to get a victory versus the G-Men, make it 2 in a row, and keep pace with the Philadelphia Eagles, who are trying to run away with this division. Not on my watch. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Anyway, I thank you guys for joining me tonight. Greatly appreciate you. Oh, before I go, I told you guys that I had this coming. We were cooking up something in the lab. We finally did it. A lot of you have asked me about hats. I got hats, man. I'm going to be rocking these joints. Got beanies, man. We in the game. All right, so go on the site, the Print Champs. Got the beanies, man. I even got it in camo. I think this is pretty damn cool, if you ask me. I think that's pretty dope right there. And I'm a dad hat guy, so I got the strap in the back. I'm a dad hat guy. So y'all know that. I wear a lot of dad hats. That's what I do. So we got the merch updated on the site, Print Champs. Check it out. The link is down in the description of this and every video that I do. So we got merch, man. We got the hats. Y'all been asking for them. We got the beanies. I know y'all already copped the shirts or you already copped the hoodie. I got me a nice fresh hoodie. Feels amazing. Y'all gonna see me rocking a lot of this on these shows. So if you haven't already done so, what are you waiting on? Cop the merch. Get the hats. All right, a lot of y'all ask me, man, can you get some hats? I got hats now. No excuses. Get the merch. And let's rock these joints, man. So you're going to see me rocking this. I'm going to be rocking it on IG. I'm going to be rocking it on Twitter. I'm going to be rocking it on these live streams. So get your Louie T merch. And if you get some, send me a picture, man. I want to promote this. I want to see you rocking the LTN merch. So support the kid. And they dope. It's not like you walking around here looking like a square. They dope. All right. These are cold-blooded right here. Get you some. So you're going to see a lot more of this coming. I got a lot coming down the pipeline. I'm working on a lot of stuff. So y'all support the kid. Get the Louie T Network hats and beanies. It's about to get cold outside, man. Put something on these heads out here, man. Get you a lid. Get you a lid. So with that being said, appreciate y'all chiming in and showing up and chopping it up with me tonight. Look forward to chopping it up with you guys tomorrow when we will jump knee deep into the New York Giants and go behind enemy lines. Big one. It's a big one. I know it's 2-5 versus 1-7. How big could it possibly be? It's a big goddamn game for us. Maybe not for them, but for us, it's a massive game. We got to have it. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. I thank you guys for joining me. I'm your man, Louie T. This has been Washington Football Nightly. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap. Hand to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the